Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, August 8th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's AEW Dynamite broadcast live on TBS from the LJVM Coliseum in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In the main event, Bryan Danielson defeated Jeff Jarrett in a no disqualification match. Mid-Atlantic legend Ricky Steamboat was a special guest commentator for the match. Danielson was confronted by AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland after the match.
But next week, I want you to have a front row seat, and I get to show you why I am the most dangerous man in AEW. Whose house?
What a massive challenge thrown out for 1 week from tonight. Swerve Strickland, Wheeler Yuta one-on-one, but there you see at the bottom of your screen, all in London, live on pay-per-view, Sunday, August 25th. AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson one-on-one. It will be title versus career at Wembley Stadium.
In the opener, MJF pinned Kyle Fletcher. Don Callis offered Fletcher a screwdriver to use as a weapon, but Fletcher refused it. MJF attacked Fletcher after the match until Will Ospreay made the save. Also on the show, Katsuyori Shibata tapped out Brian Keith. Jericho attacked Shibata after the match, but a returning Hook made the surprise save. In other results, Camille won a squash handicap match. Toni Storm and Mariah May brawled after May's quick win over Viva Van, and FTR and Orange Cassidy beat the Beast Mortos, Roosh, and Roderick Strong. FTR fought with the Acclaimed after the match.
FTR now going right after the Acclaimed, Caster and Bowens. And security once again having to become involved, having to separate combatants here as Dax and Cash, Bowens and Caster, mayhem.
In ratings news, NXT's second Great American Bash episode on Tuesday drew 534,000 viewers to Sci-Fi according to WrestleNomics. That's up from last week's audience of 468,000. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a 0.16, also up from last week's demo rating of 0.15. This was the second week that NXT was preempted from USA Network to Sci-Fi due to Olympics coverage. In Lucha Libre news, Juvia and Tessa Blanchard became the new CMLL World Women's Tag Team Champions on Tuesday night show at Arena Mexico. Juvia and Blanchard defeated Persephone and Zeusis in a tournament final to claim the vacant championship. The title had been vacant since July 10th when then co-holder Stephanie Vacker walked out of the company. And turning to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling presented Night 12 of the G1 Climax tournament yesterday at Tokyo's Korakuen Hall. Victorious in Block B matches were Hiroki Goto, Ren Narita, Yota Tsuji, Konosuke Takeshita, and Jeff Cobb. Cobb leads the block with 10 points. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.